Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Gregory, and let's get into week 1, leadership theories in Psych 143, the psychology of leadership. We live in an amazing time, but it hasn't come without its challenges. Over the past 80 years, after the end of World War II, there's been an increase in the incredible wealth in both the US and around the world. In the last 40 to 50 years, we've seen technology go from virtually non-existent to now a very normal part of our lives. And the rise in technology has changed the level and pace of change all around us. We work faster, and we've changed how we travel, we communicate, and experience areas of life our families never did, at least not my families. It's also enabled companies to become global, expanding their market beyond the US into all areas of the world. This has increased our interconnection in the world, and now we are connected even closer with technology and the advancements as never before. How rapidly can we communicate with others? Almost instantaneously, halfway around the world. Now, some of these connections are by choice. For example, Amazon's connectivity with the world, the ability to provide goods and services to areas of the world that probably never had those experiences before. Sometimes, though, these changes are not by choice. Unfortunately, we're connected through wars with other countries that we may not have heard of in the past. Climate changes that affect one country are now affecting countries all over the world. And let's not forget what we went through the last few years with the pandemic virus and how quickly that caused change, not only in schools, not only in your cities, not only in your states or the US, but all around the world. We shut down. The world, through all of these interconnections, has become increasingly smaller. And as a result, all of these issues we're experiencing call for leadership. Leadership has helped guide us through good times and in bad. However, we're now seeing an increased polarization in leadership here, and unfortunately throughout the world. In our nation, in the US, we're seeing very extreme forms of polarization in partisan rhetoric, spreading of falsehoods, creating more laws created to suppress individuals. And all this has created large and significant chasms in our nation. So it's truly an amazing time to be studying leadership. In this class, Psych 143, we're going to start to peel back and pull back the layers of the onion, or open up the curtains on leadership and look at what it truly is. What is leadership about? What is the psychology behind leadership and leaders? And to do that, we're going to look internally into our own psychology, as well as observing those leaders around us. We'll be asking and reflecting upon some important questions. And I said these in my welcome video, but they're worth repeating. What makes a leader good? Why do leaders lead and followers follow? And as individuals, do we just do one or the other? Are we just leaders or are we just followers? Or perhaps we're a hybrid of both, depending upon the circumstances. We can be a leader and a follower at the same time. We'll also look at this from not only an individual perspective, but from an organizational perspective too, and how organizations develop leaders and how you can develop yourself to be an effective leader. So this week, we're going to start at the beginning, the theory of leadership, or the theories of leadership. In your article by James Clausen, Leadership Theories, that you're going to read this week, we're going to look at different definitions of what leadership is. And we're going to ask the question, is leadership innate, meaning are you born to be a leader? Or is it a skill that you can learn and cultivate and grow with? Take some time and look at the traits and characteristics of leaders and see where you might be feeling closely aligned to. So we're going to look at leadership from different approaches. We're going to look at the traits and the characteristics of a leader, the behaviors, or what doing as a leadership means in terms of roles, the power and influence between leaders and others, because others may not just be followers. It may be power and influence between leaders and leaders. You might take a look sometimes at the G7 summit and see how leaders of equal nations are using power and influence over each other. And we're going to look at how leaders respond to situations and how those situations affect the leader's role. In certain situations, do you see that the leader stands up, takes charge, or do you see them deferring to other leaders or even to the role of their staff? And how does that, in the eye of both the leader, you, and you being a follower, affect how you see leadership? Interesting. We're also going to look at some identified leadership approaches, such as charisma. We'll be looking at that from both a positive and maybe a consequential point of view, how followers perceive leaders, how charismatic they are, and what makes a follower follow a leader. We're also going to see how leaders can use charisma and influence and power to motivate and impact followers and other leaders. But we're also going to see later on in this class the dark side on how that power, if unchecked, can be abused. We're also going to look at what transformational leadership is. That is currently what we see in leaders today is more of a movement towards transformational or servant leader, or how leaders and followers inspire each other and interconnect to elevate both. So have fun with this leadership theory. You might find it's really interesting and dynamic. Reflect on what you've perceived leadership to be and what you think of leadership now after you've read the article. Remember to always review your weekly checklist for a complete list of all the readings and the deliverables, and do reach out to me if you have any questions. Have a great week. Bye for now.